If there is one thing us horror fanatics have in common, it's the struggles of finding the next good horror fix. Well, don't worry, cause we got you covered. Welcome to Critical Duckies, where we dig deep into the world of horror to bring you some hand-picked recommendations that will save your weekend.
The days of endless scrolling are over. Let us do the dirty work and help you find the perfect movie for your next fright night. So grab your popcorn, hit that subscribe button, and let us show you which horror movies you should be watching this weekend. This is this week's Weekend Deal.
누군가는 저주를 받은 거라 했다. 누군가는 거짓말이라고, 또 누군가는 진실이라 했다. 내가 들은 이야기들이 사실인지 거짓인지는 알 수 없지만 한 가지는 분명했다. 난 이곳에 오면 안 됐었다.
Compiled of several short horror stories, Ghost Mansion's main plot follows a cartoon artist as he visits the Gwanglim complex apartment, basically in the hunt for some inspiration for his new work. There he gets in touch with the caretaker of the building, who proceeds to tell both the protagonist and us, the viewers, what's been happening to the residents of this building. The movie itself is broken down into different chapters, as every chapter tells its own story of a resident of Gwanglim. While the first chapter struggles a bit with telling an interesting story, it is totally worth sticking through it, as it does get better from this point. With most movies that are divided into several short stories, it's rarely the case that all the stories are equally interesting. What it does well though is to show you right away that there is something strange and unusual going on in the complex building, and it does a good job putting you at the edge of your seat quite early. The next chapter, which is my favorite, did what very few horror movies, and I mean very few, can do, and that is to actually scare me to the bone. And we're not talking the cheap Hollywood jump scares that turns your inside out because of the loud sounds they add to it, but by creating a situation that is so dreadful that it gives you the chills, and let it linger long enough for you to really let it all sink in and feel that unnerving feeling that the characters in the movie would have felt. That, to me, is what horror movies should be all about. As a standalone short horror story, this is as good as it gets. Following up Room 907, the story of Room 708 is a weird one and a bit freaky. Actually, it is really freaky. Just look at this doll. Who in their right mind would choose this doll to be in a relationship with? It creeps me the hell out, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's because it's so lifelike but yet so artificial. I don't know, but all I know, I don't like it. Anyway, the story itself is on the weaker side, but it has enough scary elements to it to keep you interested in it and how it's going to end. And I gotta say, as for a short horror story, it is pretty fucking creepy. Then we have the story of Room 604. Disgusting. Like, disgusting. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. Oh. The final chapter of the movie tells the story of the caretaker, and the less I tell you about this chapter, the better. Ghost Mansion is able to do what very few anthology movies does, in my opinion, and that is to create a movie that keeps a certain quality to each and every story that's being told, while at the same time interconnecting them all together without trying to force it, as well as sewing it all together through the story of the main protagonist. It does help that in true South Korean tradition, the acting is superb. The short stories doesn't try to reinvent the horror genre, but sticks to the elements of horror that works and rather focuses on creating tension and eeriness through its environments, the acting, the sound design, and the cinematography. The absence of jump scares is noticeable, and it is to me a sign of confidence from the director that the story itself is what creates the horror, as it should be. Ghost Mansion, highly, highly recommended.
Once upon a time, there lived an old lady. Matilda Dixon was her name. Loved and adored by all the children, until one day, tragedy hit the little town. Poor Matilda, blamed for whatever reason, hunged by the townspeople, but not before she laid a curse upon them. Now, before you continue, ask yourselves, what really did happen? Did you know? Almost, if not all children's books and fairy tales are based off of a child's nightmare? I sure didn't. But this movie is about a little town called Darkness Falls, where there lies a legend of Matilda Dixon, nicknamed the Tooth Fairy, an old woman who was tragically murdered by a mob in the 1800s because the townspeople thought she was killing children. Kyle and his childhood friend Caitlin return home to uncover the truth behind this legend after Caitlin's little brother has recurring nightmares about Matilda. In the beginning, we are met with Kyle, who seems to have lost his last baby tooth. You know what that means. If you're a fan of old traditions, you'd know the whole pillow ordeal. It was always exciting to wake up and being a quarter or $1 richer. We are also introduced right off the bat to his childhood friend, who, of course, obviously has a crush on him. Cute, right? I was a huge fan of the first few minutes. It definitely gave me a scare right from the get-go. Besides the obvious quick jump scare, the sounds, and the really dark corner of the room, creepy. Kyle's fear was exceptional and believable, and with what they left us, wasn't your typical teaser. It really wasn't. There was something we should definitely be afraid of. I love the way they had her above that doorway with poor little Kyle, too afraid to move, and the sounds she made were horrifying. With the childhood friends now of age, you'll notice they are a bit disconnected, weird to say the least, and an adorable little Michael, nearly frightened to death. Poor little guy. Reunited and back home again, Kyle isn't given a kind home welcoming. Taking notice, he attempts to leave, and... do I have your attention yet? I'll give you a hint. Woods aren't the safest places to be, especially in the dark. Kyle, after dealing with possible accusations and attempting to save Michael, warns them of the dangers to come. But will they believe him? Or is he crazy? Does Kyle find out the truth? Does he save the townspeople or the little frightened Michael? Will anyone believe his stories? Not all fairy tales have a happy ending, but you'll just have to watch and find out. I have just one question to ask. Do you believe in the Tooth Fairy? There you have it, another horror weekend saved. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification button to be notified of our weekly weekend recommendations.